about it is to accelerate the development, reduce the cost of ownership, and lower the barriers to entry. And the main components of the SSP is the software, for one, as you've probably heard by now. The microcontrollers, where everything runs on. The tools and kits, and this is where this position fits in. I'm not going to talk about the kits so much, but about the software tools. Then you have the solutions, which is your project examples and your project examples and your product application examples. And then the Synergy Gallery, where that's your web portal, where you can download the IDE, download the SSP, application notes, additional project templates, and all that stuff. So just in case you haven't attended the session that covered the SSP, just very briefly, the Synergy software package is a layered architecture. On the bottom, sitting right on top of your CPU, you have your board support package. On top of that, you have your hardware flash layer, or PAL drivers, the driver level. And on top of that, you have the ThreadX operating system with the various communication stacks for USB and Ethernet. You have PyLX and WeX, and also the Synergy application framework, as well as some other functional libraries. And then to the side over there, you have these add-ons. You have qualified software add-ons, QSAs, and verified software add-ons. So those can come from third parties that can contribute to the platform. And on top of it all, you have the APIs for which you access all this good software. All right, that was SSP. Now, the microcontrollers themselves, you may have heard in some other presentations, there's 4 series in the Renesas Synergy microcontroller platform. 3 of them are based on the M4, Cortex M4, which is the S7, S5, and S3, and then the S1 is based on the M0 Plus. And those are the different series in the Synergy microcontroller families. Okay, so you probably all know what an IDE is, an integrated development environment, and why we're calling it ISE. Well, because we've had ISE Studio for a while now, for about 3 years or so, and it's available, of course, for the other architectures, the RL78, the RX, the RG50, and all that. But with Synergy, when we started to add functions to the Synergy, we added so many what we think are solution-oriented components to it that we just felt we had to kind of give it an upgrade. And instead of just a regular IDE, we're calling it an ISE now for an integrated solution development environment. So that's all there is to that. So what is the ISE made of? One big component, as you can imagine, is Eastbrook Studio itself. And then we basically went ahead and added a whole bunch of new plugins to that because, as you probably know, Eastbrook Studio is based on Eclipse, and it's a nice, extensible framework, and you can easily add new components to it. So for Synergy, we added preparation phase, build phase, and debug phase plugins to our existing Eastbrook Studio product. And I have the SSP as a kind of a guard circle here because it's technically not part of the IDE, but once you bring the two together, they really work very closely in sync. Sometimes you can't tell, is this part of SSP or is this part of IDE because it works so well together. And so these SSP packs that come in these synthesis pack format that we adopted from ARM. ARM has a synthesis standard. Part of that is these pack format, and we adopted that because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So these SSP packs is how the Synergy software package is delivered and integrated into the IDE. Okay, so some of the preparation phase plugins that we're going to look at. The first one, like I mentioned, is the Synergy Project Generator. That gets you started with a new project. And then we have these various configurators that help you configure your project once you start it. So you can configure your BSP or support package. You can configure the clock tree, the pins, and as well as your RTOS or HAL or the SSP modules, the individual modules, per se, actually. So I'll show you how that all works. And the last one is the interrupt control unit configurator, or ICU configurator. That helps you set up your interrupts. For build phase, it's mainly integrating the 2 tool chains that we're using right now. One is the GNU ARM tool chain, which obviously is a very common compiler tool chain for the ARM platform, as well as we make sure that the IR compiler integrates well because we have a very close relationship with IR. They support all our other architectures, both from the over NEC side as well as from the Renesas side. And so also we are working with them very closely. And the other thing is the Smart Manual, where for Synergy software modules, it helps you to avoid going through all the lengthy documentation. I'll show you later how that works. And then on the debug side, we integrated the Segur scaling debug support. Since the Synergy microcontrollers are based on ARM, the Segur scaling was an kind of obvious choice to go with as a debug probe because it's so commonly used. So that's our standard debug probe. And then we have various plugins here that make it easier for through RTOS-aware debugging to see what's going on in your real-time system as you're doing your debugging. So one is just the regular process awareness. Then there's a thing called the EPK, which is executable bucket. And then there's also a separate executable called TraceX from Express Logic. So I'll cover all of these in a little more detail. This is an overview. So let's get started with the tour. And I have to say, this is a lecture, and it's going to be a PowerPoint tour, although usually I like to do real demos, but it's just not very possible with the setup. But you know that we do have plenty of labs for Synergy. So if you want to really use the IP hands-on, then I encourage you to attend one of those labs, and you can actually play with it hands-on yourself. Okay, actually, before I get into that, any questions up to this point? No. Okay, good. So when you talk about the Synergy project generator, so that is how that's the quickest way actually on the way to really start a new project in FlyDISP for a Synergy target, and essentially it brings up a dialog that lets you configure some high-level, specify some high-level characteristics of the new project. For example, obviously you have to see your project name. Then you have to choose the tool chain. So either right now we support, like I said, the GCC or the IR compiler. And then you have to apply a license file. When you download the FTP from the Synergy gallery, the evaluation license is already included in there. So all you have to do at this point is just point or browse to that license file inside your installation, and then you're good to go. Another license. Very good question. Okay, very good question. Also, Candy. What's the difference between evaluation license and other types of licenses? So there's basically three types of licenses. The evaluation license, and it all has to do with the protected source code. As you know, we're dealing with, you get a lot of software in this package. So we have all the NetX on the X-Layer from Logic. We have our own framework drivers, and some of these are protected or encrypted. And so when you have an EVA license, what you can do is you can build all these. So everything's in a source form, but you are, with an EVA license, not able to view those sources. So basically, you cannot see the source. You can build your project with the source, but you can't see them. If you on the gallery as well, if you register for a production or developer's license, which is also no cost, you just have to provide a little more information about your company, then you'll be able to view the sources when you're editing or when you're stopped in a debug session. So then you're able to view the sources. You still can't modify or edit or anything because it's not a source license, so that's the last type of license is if you really feel like you need to be able to modify and change the sources, then you can purchase the source license. That's obviously a commercial product. So those are the three different types of licenses. Okay, and basically, whenever you load the license file, eSports Studio knows what kind of privileges you have, and basically it behaves like that.
You can see the encrypted code, the breakpoint on that. So if you're debugging a TCP/IP problem, and you have to see in the socket code what's happening.
Yeah.
The breakpoint to.
You can, if you have, yes, you can. Question on that. Question is, can you put a breakpoint in the protected source? And the answer is yes. If you have at least the production or developer's license, then you can view the source, and you can also see it in your debug session. So yes, if you have that, and again, it's no cost. Yes, question again?
Yes, for the evaluation version, can you change header files for specification? For example, GUIs, you can change.
So header files, once we come to the configurators, I'll show you that. And so that definitely you can do. You don't need to change the source for that, right? You can.
So with NetX, you can for NetX, let's say on GUIs, you change the set priorities. You need to recompile the library.
Well, you can always build. You can always build. I mean, even the Viva license, you can build all of the source. It's just you can't change it by or you can't do it. Okay, good. Okay, good. So that's screen number one. So then the next one is you'll be able to choose which version of SSD you want to use for that project. Because right now we just came out with 1.0, right? But after a while there might be other versions, and you might choose the latest version. You might not because for some reason you may want to build it with an older one. So this is where you pick your SSD version. And then you have two more fields, which is one for board and one for device. So and this is where you basically, the board selection is where you pick your board support package. So for example, this selection is for the development kit for the S72. If that's the target you're going to use, that's what you would pick. If you have any other target, you would pick that. For example, every one of you, when you checked in, you got the starter kit for the S7, so you would use the S72SK as the board support package. And like Brandon mentioned in the previous session, in case you saw that, there's also a way for you to do your own DSP. Obviously, once you get started, you would use one of our boards probably, but after a while, if you spin your own board, you might want to have your own board support package. And we will provide you with tools to do that. You base it on one of ours, but then you basically customize it so that it fits your exact needs. And once you've done that, then you'll be able to set up your own DSP here in this field. And then the device selector, basically, this is if you can also choose to pick a custom user board, if you like, and you can basically tell which device you're working with. So here you have these different series that I mentioned earlier, and you pick the exact package and memory device that you're working with, and off you go. Yes.
I'm just curious about that customization of DSP. Is it part of the tool? Is that a separate tool, or how do you do that?
No, it's a separate tool. It's in the form of an app node right now. It should be up on the gallery now. But it's not integrated into eSports Studio. We might do that in the future. Right now it's just a command-line tool that lets you create a custom DSP. And so currently that is not integrated, but we're working on it. Okay, cool.
One more question? Yes. So on the debugger, it looks like the J-Link ARM that is built into that eval kit. So you do your own hardware then. How many debuggers do you support right now, or how many will you?
So right now it's J-Link only. Okay. But the field is there for in the future we can add other debuggers to it. There could be some open source ones, or one of the stories would be the iJet from IR at some point. Okay. So currently J-Link is what we started out with, but we're planning to extend that in the future.
Well, that answers one question. Is, we have that $1,000 tool budget, and once we're with the J-Link debugger, so how are we going to get that?
Right. So, I mean, a lot of our starter kits and starter kits actually have a built-in or J-Link OD, but of course, as soon as you want to connect your own target, you will need
that is one.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Okay. So, another selection you can make here is actually the version of the toolchain, because just like with the SSP, you might choose to use a specific version of the IR or the new toolchain in order to compile your project. So we give you that option here. In the case right now, this particular version is actually what we did test the SSD against before we released it. So it's recommended to use this version of the compiler, which is actually part of the installation process. If you install DSwitch Studio, if you download that from the gallery and you install that, the compiler, this particular version of the compiler is part of the installer. It's very easy to just install that as part of DSwitch Studio installation. And the last step you got to do before your project is finally created is to pick from what we call project templates. So in the screen, there's a selection for the for variety of project templates, and you can also call them demo applications. So basically, they will give you a starting point for that particular board you picked, and for a particular application. It could be just a basic DSP, or it could be DSP, but you already want Linux in there already, or you could have more elaborate applications like the weather panel or thermostat, or what else we have, web server. So these project templates, they give you a good starting point, and you just pick the one that's closest to the kind of project you want to do. And when you download the SSP, there's only a few of them in there, but then there's separate additional installers on the gallery that allow you to add additional project templates to your installation. Okay, so after you finish that project generator, your project is created for you, and you will see it created in the Project Explorer view inside your workspace in DSwitch Studio. So the project's created in the workspace, and this big window in the middle here is what we call the Synology Project Editor. And the reason for that is because it's basically a tab editor inside which these different tabs is where you access the various configurators. So we'll go through each of these tabs, and I'll show you how this works. And the big difference between the project generator and the project editor is that the project generator you can only use one time. The first time you create a project, you would use that, and then you wouldn't do that again. But you can get back to the project editor at any time and make additional configurations or add new modules, or so that is basically a process you can do over and over again until through the life cycle of your project. Okay. All right, so let's look at the first tab, which is the BST tab. So that's what we call the BST configurator. And you have in the top part here the something, a value or a module or something. And in the properties view, which is another view inside of this, it will show you the properties of a particular object that you highlighted, and then you'll be able to change the properties in the properties view, and that's how you configure objects or components or things inside your project. So you'll see that coming over and over again. So for example, for the BST, you'll be able to configure things like stack size or certain register values that you might want to change if you so choose. The next tab is the clock configurator. So every MCU obviously has a clock tree, and you need to configure the clock tree in order to supply all the peripherals with the desired frequencies. So what we did on the clock tab in the clock configurator is we give you a graphical view of the clock tree, and you're able to make changes right here on the configurator. Basically, for example, you would change clock sources, you would change TLL dividers, you would change multipliers, things like that, until basically you have your clock tree and the outputs, the modules just the way you want it. There's also some dependencies in here, dependency settings. So for example, the UC clock, for example, it needs 48 megahertz to work with UC. So if you configure the clock tree and this changes away from 48 megahertz, then it would drop in red, and it would basically give you an indication that it's a warning, essentially, something you need to watch out for. It might not, what you're trying to do again might not work. So throughout all these configurators, we have constraints and we have dependencies that are checked and that are flagged to you as the user to guide you on this configuration process. Okay, so that's the clock configurator. So now the pin configurator is another key element of the project editor. So this one is where you configure all the pins and do your pin mapping. So actually, you might even do this before you even do your schematics, or you might actually do the hardware designer with the software design together before you even lay out your board, because as we know, these MCUs, they have so much functionality on them that it's impossible to bring it all out, right? So all the pins are multiplex, and the trick is to essentially get all the components that you need, all the interfaces and all the ports out that you need, and not have any conflicts. So this is what the pin configurator here is here to do for you. So essentially, the way it would work is you when you do your project, it loads the specific pin configurator that matches the device that you've chosen. And so the pin configurator knows exactly which peripherals are on there. And so you go for the peripherals that you need in your project, and obviously probably you would start with the ones that eat up most of the pins, like an external bus or an Ethernet controller or something like that, because those are the things you must get in, and they use up a lot of pins. And so you select that peripheral, and then it brings up in this pin configuration pane, it brings up all the pins that are associated with that peripheral, and then you assign it to a real device pin. And sometimes we actually have more than one option. Sometimes we give you, because we know about the multiplication situation, sometimes we give you 2 or 3 options to route a certain peripheral pin to a device pin. And that allows you to be more flexible with your assignment. So if your UART comes out of 2 pins already taken, then you might be able to route it to the other pins where it's not taken yet. So that's how you're mapping out your pins. And in this package view, so this is the graphical representation of the package that this micro is in. This happens to be the 224-pin PGA, but depending on the package, it'll still look different. And essentially, the pins that you're assigning, you get a graphical representation in this package view. And it's actually interactive, because if you click on any of these pins, that brings the respective pin into focus here, and you can change it that way as well. So like I said, those package views look different depending on what MCU you're using. So this one we just saw, this is the 144-pin LQT, this is the 64-pin LQT, and so basically that is a good visual representation of what's going on the chip, on the pin level. And I mentioned one task of the pin configurator is to identify and resolve any conflicts you might have. So, as I mentioned earlier, if you're assigning pins and they're already assigned for something else, you get warning or flags that say, hey, this is not going to work. And there's a separate view here that's called the pin conflict view. So it'll show you the pin conflicts here, and you can go into the pin configurator and basically reroute that peripheral or free up some other peripheral, or basically make it work that way. Okay, then, so we talked about DSP, we talked about clock, we talked about pins. So the flex tab is probably the most important tab in this configurator, or this project editor, because there's lots going on in this. Let's look at what's the different elements here. So you have, this is the threads tab, and you have a threads pane over here, and then there's a pane here for modules, and a pane here for objects. So this is obviously has to do with ThreadX and the real-time operating system. So the first thing you would do is, and you see, so basically here in this threads pane, the very first entry is called HAL/common. So even if you're not planning on using an RTOS, if you're not planning on using ThreadX, you'll always have this HAL/common thread. It's not really a thread because we're not using RTOS, but it's basically your end of loop or something, right? If you're not using the RTOS. So we still want to give you the option to put HAL drivers into this thread, so to speak. And so if you want to add a new driver or common module to this area here, then you would select new, and then you would from the pull-down menu that comes up, you would bring in the drivers that you want to bring in on that level, on the HAL level. So for example, you might have some are actually standard. So CGC, ELC, IO port, those are standard. So here we're brought in also a real-time clock driver. So that basically takes care of your HAL layer drivers. Then if you are using RTOS, then you need to create various threads that will be your RTOS threads. And you give them, you name them whatever you want. You have a system thread, you have an error log thread, you have a thread, whatever is going on in the application. And essentially to these threads, you then also add modules to it that go into that thread, SSD modules. So for example, if you highlight that system thread, then you can add, see the system thread modules, and from the pull-down list,